Aloha, YouTubers! Hi, I'm Rock, and I'm coming back at you with another live stream. And in today's live stream, I'm just gonna give you folks my first reaction on my initial thoughts on the Team Associated DR10 no prep ready to run, which I have here. As you folks been following my channel, well, first off, I'd like to apologize if the audio is kind of off. So what I did was, with this microphone, I adjusted the gain. So I increased the gain, and I have to make a habit of talking or being close, or talking into the microphone, being very close to the microphone. That way, of course, every time when you start a live stream, a lot of background noise is happening. I should close that door. But I am in the process of soundproofing my stream setup, so hopefully reduce the background noise. But in this live stream, I just want to give you folks my initial reaction to the Team Associated DR10. Earlier this week, I did some shakedowns or speed passes, just kind of to get a feel of the DR10. Absolutely love it. I really love this ready to run, no prep drag racing. I really love that this team Associated DR10 ready to run no prep drag racing RC, especially like that it's priced at $349.99, and it's a lot cheaper compared to the other ready to runs no prep drag racing RCs out there, like the Low C 2269 Camaro and the Traxxas Drag Slash. So, with that being said, one of the, I guess, my plan is just to just give a kind of like a deep dive into this DR10, give you folks my thoughts and opinions on what I think can be improved in this DR10 without breaking the bank or the wallet. Little small improvements, attention to details, how you can just get better in no prep drag racing. Now, if I just want to make 2 points on this DR10. Number one, if you're looking for something to race competitively, no matter if it's for fun or for high stakes, big cash, this is not the RC to get. But if you want to, if this is more marketed towards the beginner or someone who has no experience in RC, who wants to get into no prep scene and just to want to get their feet wet, this is the perfect ready to run for that. For that. For that. I'm blind. I'm going blank here. Basically, this is the perfect and best ready to run no prep drag racing RC for the beginner RC enthusiast who wants to get into no prep drag racing, or even if they just wanted to get into RC in general and just their feet wet and get a little taste of no prep drag racing. This also makes a very pretty good street basher, but it's not built for street bashing. It's built for no prep drag racing, 132 feet. I don't want to say speed runs, but 132 feet runs. Is this thing perfect out of the box? No, it was never designed that way. That is why the lower price tag compared to the other ready to runs like the low C 2269 Camaro and the Traxxas drag slash. The difference in price between the DR10 and the low C 2269 Camaro is about $110, and compared to the Traxxas drag slash, it's $150 cheaper. The DR10 is $150 cheaper than the Traxxas drag slash. Now, when I first did my shakedowns, the one thing that was very consistent when I was launching is that it eventually pulls to the left, and once you correct it, it'll go straight. So it always pulls to the left, and that's something I'm gonna get into and find the reason why it was pulling to the left when I was doing the shakedowns, the speed passes. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Sorry for the MacGyver setup, but this is the best I could do for in a short term. But as you can see, this is the passenger side, your fender, and the paint job is pretty immaculate. There is a slight discoloration inside the fender, I think, or is that just from the tire? Maybe I should just remove the body. Let's remove the body. So inside the body, right? So this is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side rear. So on the passenger side, which is this, there's a scuff in the inner fender. Not too much. There's still, you can still see orange paint is still intact. But if you go on the other side, you can see where the tire rubbed and eventually scraped off most of the paint in the inner fender, and that is on the rear driver side wheel. Is this side. I guess what I should have started with. But anyways, one of the most important things when you're not only doing speed runs or drag racing, and especially in an RC, is your chassis or your the weight distribution. I'm messing it all up. The weight distribution. I like distribution. Or the weight balance. You want your weight, your weight on your chassis to be balanced, even on all four angles of four corners, four sides, whatever you want to call it. But this ready to run is not that well balanced, and because it's this brushless motor right here, the weight is more towards the driver's side, and especially when you want your car to, or your vehicle to go straight, especially off a launch. Weight balance is very important, and something that's overlooked. I watch a lot of no prep videos, and I don't think a lot of people mention about weight balance. I think they're more into running a high kV motor and their gearing setup. But I think before you get into trying to figure out which is the best motor for you to compete in no prep drag racing, or find the best gearing setup, you definitely have to look at the chassis first and see where you can balance the weight out throughout the chassis. So one thing I noticed after I did my runs is that as I press down here, I don't think you'll be able to see it there, but when I press down on the shock tower, okay, you can see this shock right here, right? This one doesn't move, but this one does move as I press it down. See, so it leans to the left. So, and as I, push down on this shock compared to this one, right, for the bounce. This shock feels a lot softer than this shock. So this is one of the issues that why my vehicle, when I, launch off the start, why it tends to go to the left a lot or consistently. And another way I found out how to check the weight balance on this thing is what it basically did is just took one finger here, try to find the middle, and just lift the front end of this chassis. As you can see this tire is lifting, but this tire still stays on the ground. See? And that has nothing to do with the front shocks. It has more to do with the brushless motor right here. Because like I said, all the weight is right here. And the big test that I did, or I'm just figuring how the weight is distributed in this chassis. Just I got put one finger here in the front and one finger on the front bumper. Yes, this is the body mount tower, if you want to call it. I don't know, but yeah. So as I lift the chassis, all the way is leaning to the left. I probably won't show in the video, but yeah, you can kind of see leaning to the left. It's definitely leaning to the left on my side. So, and like I said, that has everything to do with the brushless motor right here because it's more to the left. And also gonna have to so a couple of things. And then another thing I found out, when the body is on, right? It sits very low already. So once the rear wheel spins, it will balloon, and that's why you have what is that they call it? I guess I don't know, grinding of the inner fender from the wheel, or rubbing. The rear wheels are rubbing in the inner fender. And when I was showing you folks earlier, the difference between the scuff marks, like I said, driver's side, the orange paint has been rubbed off, I guess. Compared to the other side fenders, they still have the orange. You can't see through the orange paint yet. This one you can see through the orange paint, nice and clear. Yeah, can you see me now? But I can see my finger. Yeah, see, covers. So, and that's the result. Like I said, because of this, the shock. This shock is a lot softer than the opposite shock. And then not only that, one little mod I will have to do. I will have to raise these body mount posts. I think I have to raise it about 3 holes. I think that should do. And the reason why is because this tire right here is rubbing against the rear fender, and that will help. That's another cause of why it pulls to the left. So yeah, little minor things that I probably could just make adjustments. Like so, I think my first thing I'm gonna do before I do any major adjustments or start playing with changing out the motor and the pinion and the spur gear. Just to do some tuning with the brushless motor, the pinion or the spur gear. Is to do this little minor details changes. So first, I'm gonna raise these body posts 3 holes higher. That way, I'll get a little bit more clearance from the rear tire when it launches, when it balloons. And then I think I will have to raise the front body post also, because if I raise the rear and not raise the front, the front tires is gonna rub against the inner fender, or the inner front fender, and then it's gonna lose not only speed but time going down the track. So I know raising the body even a few centimeters will probably affect the downforce or the aerodynamics to this DR10, but I don't think it's gonna affect it too drastically. So that's just something I can do and see what happens if I do raise the body, if it's gonna make a major difference. I don't think it will. And then I may also just switch out the D shocks, switch it around, put the softer one on the passenger side and the stiffer one on the driver's side, and see how it runs. See if that corrects, the pulling to the left on launches. Other than that, I think that's basically it. Trying to make this DR10 go straight off the launch. So minor things, something, things that you don't have to really spend extra money on buying. It's just those little things that may make a difference between this car pulling to the left and then going straight down the tracks. Yeah, and then so I'll probably make those. Probably do one adjustment at a time and see how the car runs after each adjustment, and then take it from there. So that's about it. And also, I figured out how to work my Garmin Forerunner 101 GPS. So I'll be able to record the speed on this thing. I won't be able to record the top speed in 132 feet distance. I'm gonna order I know Sky RC has a GNSS system, but I think it's rebranded under different names, and I know it's a lot cheaper under the different brand name. So I saw that on the internet, and I'll probably order that sometime next week, and that way I can also not only get some miles per hour or times, but also data, like voltage, and like the voltage, like when I do my passes, where the voltage spikes or where the voltage will sag, and in which power band, I guess. So that's about it for this. It's funny because I want to go over a lot of things, but like I said, I don't want to make this live stream very long. It's running about 18 minutes. My goal was to bring it down to 10 minutes, but I guess I'm gonna surpass that. Or I was just gonna make it a long video and then cut it up and then repost it as a VOD, but I guess that didn't happen. Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed this DR10. I'm totally in love with it. It has Ignite the Fire. The passion is burning strong for no prep drag racing. So instead of investing more money into this ready to run, I'm gonna leave it as is. Like I said, I may do if you take the money that you save buying this instead of the Traxxas Drag Slash, which is $150, you can get a higher KV motor, a reedy sonic brushless. Whether it's a 17.5 turn all the way down to a 10.5 turn, even lower. But I think for this ESC that's come with the ready to run, I think your choices is this a 17.5 turn sonic brushless motor. Hold on. Yeah, so here's there's a recommended and suggested motors to upgrade to. So you can, if you wanted to, you can upgrade to a 17.5 reedy sonic brushless motor, or a 13.5 turn reedy sonic brushless motor, or a 10.5 reedy sonic brushless motor. And then they recommend changing out the gear or the gear ratio on this DR10 if you're gonna change out the motor. So with the 17.5, they recommend going with a 28 or 48 pitch, 28 tooth pinion gear with a 48 pitch, 75 tooth spur gear, and that will the gear ratio or the final drive ratio will be 6.96 to 1. So if you folks want to understand what the gear ratio is, or the final drive ratio, basically it's how many times the pinion spins to make the spur gear not only spin once, but the amount of so the amount the spur gear spin, basically it's how much is how the combination with the pinion gear and the spur gear. For example, if you go with this 28 tooth pinion with the 75 tooth spur 48 pitch, and you run a 7, well, it doesn't really matter what brushless motor you run, but your final drive ratio is 6.96 to 1. So basically 6 full rotations on the pinion gear will make the spur gear turn almost a full turn, 0.96, 0.98, 0.96, and that will make the tire or the wheel spin completely one time. If that makes any sense. And like for example, if you went with a 26 tooth 28 tooth pinions, 75 tooth spur, the ratio is 7 to 50 for a one complete tire rotation. So the pinion gear will spin 7 full times, and that will make the spur gear spin half a turn, and that it will equate to equivalent to a one full tire rotation. So in this stock setup right here that I have with the 3300 kV brushless motor, 18 tooth pinion gear with the 87 tooth spur, the final drive ratio is 12 to 57, and one full turn on the wheel, which is basically the rear wheel. So the pinion spin 12 times to make the spur gear spin about a little bit over a half a turn, which will eventually make the tires spin one whole tire spin. And when I say whole tire spin, right? So this is we mark this part of the tire. So when it turns, that is one tire spin. Or one complete tire spin, right? Didn't get the middle, I rock. Right? Basically, that's what final drive ratio is, how many spins it takes for the pinion gear to spin the spur gear until it spins the rear tires one complete turn. So that's the final drive ratio. Like I said, I wouldn't go too crazy of a brushless setup on this ready to run version. I would basically go with what the Team Associate recommends in their instruction manual. like said, for in the case of like for a really sonic brushless, you can go with a 17.5 turn brushless motor, 13.5 turn brushless motor, or 10.5 brushless motor. And then it looks like as you go with a higher kV, you make sure you don't reduce the torque too much in your gear ratio. You need a lot of torque because lower turns or higher kV motors, they don't have that much. They lose torque, other compared to higher turn motors or less lower kV motors. So that's something to think about. I know I watch a lot of no prep drag racing videos, and a lot of people are trying to put a 2-turn motor in their setup, 2.5, 3-turn, 3.5, and their gearing is so their gearing is like, I guess you can put it like this, right? 10-speed bike. So you have 5 gears on the rear wheel tire, and on the pedal you have 2 gears. That's why they call it 10-speed. So when you're climbing a hill, you want more torque. So you on the pedal side, you would want to put the chain on the smaller gear, and then on the tire side, you want to put it on the biggest diameter gear, right? To put the chain on the biggest diameter, that will produce a lot of torque and make it easier for you to go up the hill without burning too much energy. Hey Jose, how's it going, my friend? Hope all is well in your neighborhood. Bonjour, my friend. Yeah. So, and then when you're going downhill, right? You want to catch up to the wheel speed or the miles per hour. So you go on the rear wheel side, you want to go with the smallest diameter gear, and then on the pedal side, you want to go with the taller or bigger diameter gear. So that way, it will you'll be able to catch up to the miles per hour that the wheel is going at, or the bike is going at, or the RPMs. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. It's like you can put the highest kV motor in this, but you have to factor in like the differential gear inside, because that determines how much wheel spin, or how the wheel spin the tire will go. But I'll get into that more into when I do some mods on my no prep drag project. So basically, it's like if you can put a high kV motor, but if your gearing is not, how do I put this? Because a high kV, RPMs is a lot. There's a lot more RPMs. So, for example, your tires can only go so fast, right? Based on the diameter size of your rear wheel tire and the size of your differential gear. And if your pinion gear and your spur gear doesn't match, and your kV or your RPMs on your motor doesn't match to the wheel speed, either you're gonna feel like you're underpowered, or your motor is working too much. You know what I'm saying? For example, like no matter what setup I put in this no prep drag racing vehicle, I think the fastest I've seen it goes about 50 miles per hour, right? The average 50, 52. I think some have hit in 57, even some try to hit 60. But because of the gearing and the size of the rear wheel tire, this vehicle's top speed is about between 50 and 60 miles per hour. So you might put in a 70 miles per hour setup in regards to brushless motor and gearing setup, like pinion and spur gear. but because your wheel speed can't go that fast, it's kind of all for nothing, right? Pointless. I think a lot of people overlook that factor. So in order to go faster, you have to be the first thing to go before you want to go faster is you have to make your wheel speed go faster. If you folks understand what I'm saying, I know it's kind of gibberish, but I think I can show you folks maybe in a later video. So it's all about wheel speed. Yeah, just because you have a high speed setup in regards to your brushless motor and your spur gear and your pinion gear, you also have to look into your differential gear and your size of your wheel. It has to be able to your wheel speed has to be able to reach those speeds. That's why if you're looking at Traxxas XO1, it doesn't have a differential gear setup. I mean, it does. It has a spider gear setup, but the way it's designed is totally different, and it's designed to actually reach 100 miles per hour. But that's for a whole nother video. I mean, it's complicated to explain. Kind of wasted right now. I'm not wasted, but it's hard to explain. I mean, I'm sorry if I didn't explain it well, but before you want to reach a high mile per hour on your any RC, you have to make sure you have you have to make sure your wheel speed is able to reach that miles per hour, right? Because basically the wheel can only spin so fast, and no matter how fast you spin it, it's only gonna go to so if, for example, one wheel turn, one complete wheel turn, you only will go a certain amount of distance, right? And I better quit one on my head. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that goes into it. That's why I've seen a lot of people blow ESCs because their motor don't have enough. They're running a high RPM motor and the gearing doesn't produce enough torque, so their motor is working too hard and drawing too much power, and poof, ESC blows. And the biggest way you can blow an ESC is to do a sudden to do a instant complete break instantly, or do a sudden stop, because you basically have it's kind of like a tidal wave, right? If you look at it, so basically the ESC will draw amps from your battery and it will send it to the motor. But when you press the brakes, it's like a tidal wave. The tidal wave is the electric current, so it's gonna pull it from the battery to the ESC to eventually the motor. And then when you hit the brakes, that big tidal wave has nowhere to go but back where it came from. So it'll hit the wall, bang, the tidal wave will go, hit the wall, bang, stop, and then it'll eventually flow back to the battery. But then at the same time, because of latency, you still have another tidal wave. It may be a little smaller one or equal same amount following the other tidal wave, right? And then you can have two big tidal waves collide and meet at the same point, which is the ESC, and you'll have a whole bunch of amps hitting the ESC all at once, and kaboom, kaboom, then went your ESC. And that's why I see a lot of people blow their ESC. So I guess one of my advice is you want to set your your drag brake very low. You want to make sure you have a lot of runway to slow down slowly and not quickly and instantly. You want the energy to flow out of the battery, out of the motor eventually, not go back to the ESC or back to the battery. So if you slammed the brakes once. He like said, the motor said, no, no more power, no more amps. Send it back, send it back. Send it back where it came from. And the battery's like, here, take all my power. Take it all, take it all. What? You don't want it? Take all my power. And the ESC, like say, because of latency, that's where you're gonna have two power surges collide all at once. There's ways to avoid power surges. You can install more FETs or capacitors to absorb all that extra amps or energy. But like I said, but the best way is to set your drag brake very low, so it eventually very slow down, and make sure you have enough track or runway to have a long slow down. Because if you if you slam that brake, that's how you blow your ESCs. That's all I'm saying, and that's all I should have said. Yeah, so I think that's about it, folks. A lot of gibberish. Yeah, sorry, this is not skit. Rehearse. Just doing things off the top of my head. I may sound like an idiot, but believe me, I'm not. It may look lazy, but I do have a great work ethic. I'm a hard worker. That's basically it. And then, yeah. Oh, and I think the best thing when you run no prep drag racing is to turn off the DVC, AVC if you have a low C, or the TSM if you have a Traxxas. I don't see actually I see the gyro or assisted steering more of a hindrance, or it gets in the way on keeping your vehicle straight. That's my opinion. I don't think it helps at all. It really doesn't. Actually, it actually makes your car just pull more to the left. I mean, that's my opinion. That's what I think. Do I have any batteries? Or you would want to set your DVC, AVC, or TSM to the lowest setting as possible. Yeah. I guess when I do my project, no prep jag racing, road to is it King of the Street or Street of the Kings, Las Vegas 2022. I'm gonna practice without any gyro assist. I think like I say, it's more of a hindrance than it is it helps. And then basically, so this is the stock configuration of the DVC. I think it's at 1, which is max, fully turned on, fully powered. So when you turn, right, that's the DVC working. So a slight turn, it does auto-correct it already. So, and like I was saying, when this thing launches, right, a lot of the weight leans towards the driver's side, so it affects the front wheel right here, as you can see, right. So what happens is any slight turn, you can hear it autocorrect, right? See, even just like a very small, it will autocorrect. You can hear it autocorrecting. See, so yeah, see, autocorrecting. You can hear it. Yeah, doesn't look good on the video, but trust me, folks. Yeah, it's autocorrecting. Just a slight fishtail. It's turning the wheels, right? e- even if like if you launch right, especially if you do a wheelie, you know the wheels are gonna turn, and you don't know which way the wheels are turning. And when you land, or when the front wheel land on the ground, you don't know which way the wheel turning, and you might unexpected turns. But yeah, so if they shouldn't make gyro assist illegal, because I like to say it doesn't help at all. Actually, it's a hindrance. In my opinion, it's a hindrance. Hindrance, or it just gets in the way. Yeah, go ahead, turn on that DVC. I dare you. Yeah, I rather go cold turkey with DVC off, and I'll probably do that in future videos. I guess make the comparison: DVC on, DVC off. I rock on, I rock off. Yeah, so like we can do yeah, record some miles per hour with this yeah, with this DR10. I really love this. I mean, I really do, man. You know, can't beat the price. Awesome RC, super fun. If you get tired of the drag racing, it can be a street basher. It's not intended to be a street basher, but like I said, and then like say you can do like some minor modifications to make this even compete. Um, compete and be very competitive. Like I said, you want to buy a different a higher kV brushless motor, whether it's a 7.5 turn, 17.5 turn, 13.5 or 10.5. It's only going to cost you $69.99 before taxes, before shipping. And if you want to change out the gearing, or you want to change out the pinion gear and the spur gear, and change the gear ratio, you can. I looked up online. Spur gear is only cost you $5.99 before shipping, before taxes, and pinion gear, I seen that thing run up to $8.99, or you can get a bunch of them for with a lot of different turns for I think 18, 19, almost $20 before shipping, before taxes. So, and that's basically all you need to do. If you want to be competitive, honestly, to be honest with you folks and tell you the truth, and that's only going to cost you, like I said, $6 for the spur, $9 for the pinions. That's $15, and you add that to $70, $85, and yeah, you'd be very competitive. And then you probably could, and the stock shock weight on this is, I don't, yeah, it's perfect. It's good enough. If you want to put a thicker shock oil, you can, but it's not necessary. Yeah, not a big of a deal. And then so you're only spending, like, say, what is that, $85? So you still, like, compared to the traction drag slash, you still have $65 to spend. So for a little bit extra, you can get an anti-sway bar, just to stabilize the rear, and hopefully it helps you, prevents you from doing any pulls to the left or the right, and keep your vehicle straight. But I don't think it's necessary, but you can if you wanted to, and you can probably like stiffen up the chassis, probably get some aluminum shock towers. I think that comes with the aluminum with the sway bar, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think he can go with aluminum shock towers to stiffen up the chassis, and then maybe some aluminum arms. But that's basically it. And then as regards to and if you want, I guess you can stiffen up the chassis also to reduce chassis flex, but not necessary. I mean, to me, like, if you're gonna go beyond changing out the brushless motor and the pinion and the spur gear, it's just, like I said, all you basically need to do to be competitive. You go no drag racing. I mean, if you're gonna go beyond that, even installing a anti-sway bar, you might as well just get a kit and just build from ground zero. You know, I mean, that's what I plan to do. I mean, when I looked at this, I was like, this ready to run. This DR10 is ready to run. It's good as is, and I don't think I was like, I don't really need to change anything because I don't plan to um, race this thing competitively. It's more like just something that if I just wanted to take out on the road and just have fun with it and play with it, that's what it is. I mean, I don't see me, for me, if I don't think investing more into this DR10 is gonna change the, like I said, it's not, um, I want to win, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win. And if I have to spend 2,500 on a chassis or build a no prep drag racing from ground zero, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, the money that I would have put into trying to make this very competitive and win some drag racing, I think I'm just gonna start from ground zero and put a budget tag on it, 2,500 just for the chassis alone. Well, not just the chassis alone, but the chassis, wheels and tires, shocks, shock towers, the A-arms. I mean, everything you need to have one to run, ESC, receivers, high torque steering servo, brushless motor, transmission, wheelie bar, GNSS, the higher C battery, bigger capacity batteries, bigger milliamps. I mean, I have a wish list, so look forward for me building a no peg drag RC from ground zero. I'm gonna go big, very, very big, my friends. That's that's it for this live stream. Except I always say I try to cut my live streams short, but it's not gonna happen. This is about 47 minutes. I just want to thank Jose for joining the chat. Hope all is well, Jose. Hope this audio is a lot better. Did it record? Who recorded? Why didn't it record? Will automatically record. But again, like I said, I'd like to thank all my supporters. It's been a tough, long journey for iRock. Just getting into this no prep drag racing. Sorry for all of the confused information. Sorry for the long live stream, a long VOD. But I just wanted to make sure I covered some basics, explain it as best as I can. When I'm off camera, I can explain it down to the T very clearly. But when I'm on camera, I guess I'm just so worried and focused looking at all the look at everything that's around me. Merci pour ce video. Let's Google that. Anyways, folks, again, thank you very much. Thank you, Jose, again. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. So, see you in the next one. I rock out. that's not my outro. Take care and aloha. Shaka. And I'm out.